Welcome to Unleashed at Work and Home. I'm Colleen Pilar, and this is where pet professionals come for honest conversations about what it really takes to show up for yourself while serving the animals you love. If you've ever felt caught between compassion and exhaustion, you're in the right place. Here we explore what it means to reconnect with your inner wisdom and rediscover the joy that brought you to this work. Make sure to join my email community at colleenpilar.com for gentle, practical insights designed specifically for pet professionals. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Unleashed at Work and Home. My guest today is Melissa McCue-McGrath, and I am going to let her tell you what it is that she does because it is way too hard to summarize into 4 words. So, welcome, Melissa.
I hope I get more than 4 words.
You do get more than 4. You may have as many as you want, but my brain can only handle 4 in memory, and so it was easier to just ask you to do it.
Get it. I get it. So I'm a professional dog trainer out of currently now Maine, but I spent 20 years in Boston working in high rises and urban environments doing behavior consultations and behavior work predominantly. And then in that interim, I had also written a book called Considerations for the City Dog. And in the last 10 years, I've been working on a new book called The Misadventures of the World's Okayest Dog Trainer, which I think lines up very well with the kind of subjects and topics that you cover on your show, which are things like, I feel alone. I don't feel like I'm the only one doing this, or I don't know where to turn, or doing something wrong, or, maybe doing something as right as you possibly can in the moment, but then getting more information later. And maybe if you had that information, then something would have changed in the initial information. And just carrying all that with you through a career and then trying to figure out how to come to terms with that and how to tell other people coming into this industry, like, this is what you need to be ready for, because it's not all about learning theory. It's about the people that you work with. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. Yeah.
It's not all about learning theory.
It's not. So it helps. It does help.
It absolutely helps. But we can get into really interesting discussions of what quadrant does this fall in or all of that. But in the moment with the client in the living room, that's typically not what's most helpful. I want to go back to the title of the book again. Could you please say that one more time for us? What's the title of this book?
Misadventures of the World's Okayest Dog Trainer.
Okayest? What? Okayest? How can we all reach to be the okayest version of ourselves? What does that mean to you, okayest?
Okayest. So this stemmed from 2 different tracks, which might happen a lot in our conversation. I do tend to derail. So the first was I am a huge fan of this musical artist named Josh Ritter. He's an Americana folk singer, and he's been around for quite some time. But he had this album that was called The Historical Conquest of Josh Ritter. And he knew he was kind of on this indie circuit. He wasn't famous yet. He eventually got there. But he wasn't famous. He was just some guy playing his guitar with his friends. And he just thought of getting this really ambitious title that just seemed so grandiose, which was kind of the opposite of how he was in real life. Tickled him to no end. And so when I was trying to think of a title for this book, I kind of leaned into that idea, but I still I know enough now after doing this work for over 20 years that there's still so much I don't know. And almost every chapter is a Schadenfreude moment of something I didn't know that turned out to be a lesson in some way in the profession or with a client or with a dog, or in one case, a very fractious cat. But I could not, the Dunning-Kruger of it all, be able to say best, because there's so much we don't know.
Right.
And I felt like okayest was the best word for that. I'm striving to be my okayest self. instead of my not worst self. Like,
Mhm.
um, my friends and I will often joke the second part of that would be, like, my friends and I are always joking that we are trying to do our not worst that day, when
Yeah.
we go into a client's house. Like, we're putting on our best selves, but
Mhm.
we are trying to do the not worst for the person in front of us, and what that means to me is, like, we're taking the information we have in that moment with that person in front of us and catering that information to the person in front of us with the dog in front of them, with maybe the other relationships going on in that home or environment or training space or wherever we are, and just trying to do the best with our information that we can. And sometimes it just feels like when we walk away or when we get new information that at least we can't. I don't feel it's fair for people to say, "I did such a bad job at this,"
Yeah.
or "I did the worst possible thing for this client." Because with the information you have, if you can walk away and say, "I did the best I could with the information I had at the time I had it,"
Mhm.
you're you're golden. Like, you
Mhm.
can't you can do better on the next one, on the next case with new information, but you can't wear that on your shoulders, on your back, in your heart for your whole career. There are still ones that I wake up from going, "I wish I knew a little more, but I
Yeah.
didn't know that at the time." So,
Yeah.
not worst is kind of the coverall for that in, like, a jokey way that we can kind of relate to, I hope. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I think
yeah.
it's a very relatable title, and I think it's so important. That whole point that you just went through is, like, it's really easy to judge our past selves for not having resources we didn't have, knowledge we
Mhm.
didn't have, understandings we didn't have, all sorts of things. We're like, "Oh,
Right,
I wish I had known that then." Yes, and if I had, I would have done things differently, but
right.
to look back and be like, "Oh, I gave the wrong advice, or I gave incomplete advice," or whatever, and be
Yeah,
frustrated and angry at ourselves about that,
yeah,
uh, is it derails the learning that can come from that. Like, we can wish that we had known then, but we can't be mad at ourselves that we didn't know then, because we
right.
didn't know. If you don't know, you don't know, like,
Exactly.
period.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so you're the world's okayest dog trainer. I mean, is there a trophy with that? Like
Well, on the cover of the book, there's a my an animation or a drawing of my dog Captain, drawn by the beautiful and super talented Lily Chin,
who
who I
I
think would all
also got to talk to.
yes, who is just brilliant at what she does. But she took the likeness of my dog and had him peeing into a coffee cup with that says World Best Dog Trainer on it, and I just thought, "That is my trophy." The fact that she was able to make me laugh on that cover is the only trophy I'm ever going to need.
Well, a personalized image from Lily Chin is a pretty awesome trophy. I mean, if we put that as something in an auction, like Lily Chin will draw your dog doing something funny, people would
Yes,
compete for that. So
I think
that seems like
so.
a very worthy trophy for the world's okayest dog trainer.
Yeah.
Okay. So I always like to ask my guests, when you were 10, what did you think? What did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
I've been thinking about this for so long. Like, the last couple of weeks, I've been really thinking about this, and I think there were 2 tracks that I could really kind of pinpoint for them, and the first was, I really wanted to work with dogs or animals in some way. I just, like, coming out of the womb, I'm going to work with animals somehow. Did not know how. And growing up in rural, I would say it was kind of a more poor working class district in Maine, in mid-coast Maine, where we didn't have a gas station in our town, like, um,
That's pretty rural because gas
pretty
stations
rural.
typically are one of the first things to come as we
Yeah, we
get
would
a
have
little
to
bit.
well, my mom's town, we would have to go to the next town over to get gas. So, like, we just didn't have it. So you couldn't go on home on fumes because you wouldn't be able to leave. But my dad had a sled dog team, And I jokingly call it an accidental sled dog team because he had this friend who ran the Iditarod, but in order to run the Iditarod, he has to qualify for different races, much like a marathon. And so he would take his A team and go and do these races, and my dad and I and my younger brother and sister would go and help him, like, take care of the B team, essentially. And then when this gentleman finished the race, he came back to Maine, gave my dad 10 dogs, and peaced out to Florida, and we never saw or heard from him again. And that was like 35 years ago. So either he's in witness protection
He had
or
enough of the cold. He was like, I did the Iditarod and I'm never seeing snow again. Florida, here
yes,
I come.
he is like Jimmy Buffett forever, like drinking something neon blue for the rest of his days out of a big pretty cup and a fun straw. Um, but at that time, like, even as a kid, I'm like, if I wanna work with animals, I have really 3 ways I can do this. I can be a veterinarian, which seemed like it was gonna be the most practical route, but it still never felt right. I could be a police officer that handled a canine, and a little bit more on that in a second, or I could be a farmer. Um, and so when I was really thinking about this at like 10, I distinctly remember taking one of our huskies who these were working dogs who were tied to trees, like, and had a doghouse, and they never came in the house really. They weren't trained to sit or down. These were the dog on a chain that I remember you speaking about with dog bite risks with my dog training club decade ago or so. Um, and these dogs did not know how to learn in the way that we think of dog training today. You
Mhm.
have a group of, let's say, 10 dogs on a sled. Only one dog needs to know 4 words, like, G is right, paw is left, on by is keep going, and whoa, good God, please stop. And the other ones just kind of follow suit. So I took one of these huskies and I tied her to, like, I put a leash on her collar. And I just remember running her around our backyard, throwing crackers and yelling to her, "Find crack," because I thought, "That's how I'm gonna train a drug detection dog at
Yeah.
10, and this is my way into working with dogs." Um, my poor dad, ever the never an optimist, always the realist, would watch this dog trained to pull for a living, yank his, like, maybe 55-pound kid across the yard into the woods, over towards the lake, down the street, and I'm just yelling at this dog, "Find crack," and I'm confident the neighbors heard it and just thought that that was another day at the McCue house, like, and so I finally gave up on that and did softball like normal kids and just kinda put that on the back burner until I went to college in Ohio, for an equestrian teacher trainer program. So the other avenue I wanted to work in was with horses potentially. So even at 10, I would walk down the street and muck out stalls so I could maybe get free lessons, or my dad would drop me off and I would clean stalls so I could ride a horse. And that was pretty much the payment for
Mhm.
riding and learning how to ride, and I loved it. I loved being out one with this horse and all of these things, and then I went to college, got bucked off, broke my spine.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was the same year of Christopher Reeves doing the same thing, and one
Oh,
of us can walk. So I was incredibly lucky,
yeah.
and so I was like, "Okay, maybe maybe I need to recalibrate." And so instead of riding horses, I just switched majors to psychology, and that's where I got, like, all the learning theory and, like, the people skills, but I couldn't figure out how to make psychology work with animals. I was still very unaware of animal behavior as an option. Like,
Mhm.
I just it was never on my radar in the late '90s. It was just not it was something that I would have loved to have had more access to, and I'm so glad that that's available to people today, that they can
Yeah.
go take animal behavior classes, that they can go master in this stuff, but in the late 90s, that those programs were few and far between and were not really marketed to us. And it was hard to get that information too, if you think about it, because we didn't really have the internet in the same way.
Yeah, it was so hard to get information and
Yeah, it would be
learn
like
and
some
grow in any of this.
GeoCities. Yeah, some like really old website that's like under construction with like a
Mhm.
very cheesy GIF of like
Mhm.
somebody
Yep,
with a tractor.
and we were grateful for it.
Oh my gosh, I remember building my first website and just being so excited by those, like, little gifts. I'm like, "Yeah," and then, like, you're loading your whole page with it. "I'm so creative. I'll make a black website with lime electric green writing." It was what a time to be alive. We knew nothing back then, but we all tried really hard.
We did all
Um,
try, which is the theme, isn't it? We
yes,
knew nothing, but we tried hard and we learned.
we did, and now weird, those gifts aren't available anymore.
Yeah, and we're still having lots and lots of questions and trying really hard and learning new things and looking at now going, "Oh, yesterday I knew nothing."
Oh,
Like,
yeah, that.
it just keeps going. It's a cycle.
Yes, does.
So there you were graduating with this degree that didn't quite align with animal work.
Mhm.
What'd you do?
So, eh, actually, I think listeners who work with dogs in a training capacity or in a behavior capacity might find this funnier than others. But I distinctly remember looking at my advisor, the psychology professor at this tiny equestrian college in upstate Ohio, and I looked him dead in the eye. I'm like, "When am I ever going to need to know these quadrants?" I'm like, "This is so infuriating. I I know there's a test coming up, but when am I ever going to need to know this?" And I have since emailed him at least half a dozen times in the last 20 years going, "Hey, still using it every day, Dr. Shannon." Like, sorry. Um, but I ended up taking that psychology degree. And I think what was really interesting about that was I had tried to get my degree in arts, like a bachelor of arts in psychology, because I'm like, I'm not good at science. I had a teacher tell me in seventh grade, made some flippant joke that landed wrong with like little
Mhm.
13-year-old me. And I walked away from that thinking, I can't do science.
Mhm.
I loved science up until that point. And it was just one of those things that I couldn't even tell you what they said today. I just know that they said it and it hit me in a way that everybody laughed, and it didn't feel like they were laughing with me,
Yeah.
and I just remember on that project, I had tried really hard, and and to this day, I cannot imagine that this teacher thought anything of it. It was not something that she had intended to hurt. I think she really thought we were joking together.
Yeah.
And so I went from age 13 literally through my entire degree thinking I can't do science. And yet every elective I took, intro to meteorology, intro to forensic science, intro to every elective I took was a science course. But I would stop after either the intro or the second level course because I'm like, "Oh, well, I can't there's no way I'm gonna be able to I'm not gonna use chemistry, so I'm just not gonna keep going."
Yeah.
So I had talked myself out of continuing on a science track. So when I went to apply for my graduation diploma, the woman behind the desk, the registrar's like, "Why are you getting a bachelor's of art?" I'm like, "'Cause that's what I signed up for." She goes, "Look at all these science classes. You qualify for a bachelor of science degree." I'm like, "That's impossible." And she sat me down and was like, "You need to get the higher degree." She's like, "It would be a disservice to yourself to say you can't do science if every single elective you weren't taking dance classes, you were taking science classes." And I was like, "Oh." Like, you would think that you would know yourself
Mhm.
enough, but I didn't. I was 22 and had no idea that I was actually interested in science because of this,
Yeah.
like, weighted blanket that I had carried for no reason, like, for, like, 20 years, like, just didn't think I could do science. So then I kind of fumbled after college for a bit, just did some odd jobs. I ended up getting a border collie puppy, from a shelter that I was told was a spaniel, like, after I specifically said, I don't want a herding dog and I don't want a puppy, I walked out of this shelter with a 4-month-old border collie in the wake of the babe border collie surge
Mhm.
of puppies. And that dog was my best friend for 12 years. She needed something to do, so I got her into competitive Frisbee, put on a competitive Frisbee event, and a local dog trainer came over and talked to me and was like, "Would you like to be my assistant?" And I'm like, "Okay." And that's how I got I didn't go looking for this work.
So
I
cool.
fell haphazardly back asswards into this work. Um, and this was the only thing that clicked. And that I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I'm supposed to be teaching, I'm supposed to be working with people, and I still get to work with animals. I don't
Yeah,
it took me forever to find it, but I just kind of fell into it.
that is so awesome. So from college graduation to becoming the assistant of this dog trainer, what were you doing to pay your bills?
So I was working as an office manager at a startup. And I had also worked for a short time, well, actually, it was kind of a long time, as a receptionist for an animal hospital because I was still thinking, well, maybe I could do vet tech. It's not
Mhm.
quite the pressure of a vet, but and I still don't have to do math or science. Maybe I could do the tech part. And I was just always kept at receptionist, and I was like, oh, okay, like I guess I'm not supposed to go in the back. But then once I found this training gig, and started, which I think really worked out for this trainer, because like this person didn't have the funds yet to pay an assistant, and I was interning in big air quotes.
Mhm.
So it really worked out for them that they didn't have to pay someone and they got free labor and I got to learn this
Yeah.
work while I was still doing some vet work and office managing. So I was doing like 3 gigs at the same time
Mhm.
right out of college trying to afford living in Boston, which
Which is so common for pet pros, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
multiple gigs to pay the bills, the one that fills your heart and the one that fills your refrigerator. Not
yes,
always the same.
they are not. And it is a lot of hustle.
Mhm.
And I know like I ended up giving up one of those gigs and just took up dog walking for a while. So I would walk and then I would go train. So I would walk 10 or 12 miles with dogs all day. And then I would come back, quickly shower, change, and go teach or assist or whatever was required. And then eventually I realized like the trainer I was working for was doing some questionable things that when I before we started the microphones, we were talking about you don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
And it was kind of starting to click that like some of the things that this person was doing was not feeling right to me. And I was like, huh, I don't know about this. Um and like alpha rolling
Mhm.
and this was at the time, it was the early 2000s, it was positive reinforcement. And it was articulated to me that this isn't really alpha rolling. We're just trying to like put them on their back to make them stop struggling. And I'm like,
Mm,
that's totally
yeah,
different. Sure. Like, and I'm like,
yeah.
okay. And like as I'm going through this, I'm realizing like this doesn't feel right. Like, and then this person got their credentials taken away. And I was like, okay, well, that's actually the biggest lesson I got from this was okay, that spidey sense that was telling me something isn't quite right is actually validated by the certifying body here. And I'm like, okay, in that case, I feel like I should start to trust my instincts here a little bit better. And I did. And then I started to work towards getting a certification. And at the time, it was the CPDT one because
Mhm.
all of the other ones before the interneted, we would have to go either give up our lives for 10 weeks
Mhm.
and go to like the Academy for Dog Trainers in California
Mhm.
for 2.5 months while you're not making any money. So if you're a single, like just out of college person with pets, like I can't take my dog with me. Like, so I would have to find somebody to take care of my dog for 10 weeks. And I also just didn't have the funds to be able to do something like that. It was such a valuable resource, but like
Yeah.
there was and that was like one of like maybe 2 or 3
Yeah,
similar
there were
outfits
so
around the
few.
country.
Yeah.
Yeah. and they were just not accessible. So I went through the CPDT route, self-taught, read a bunch of books, bought a bunch of books, left them on the shelf, and then went back and read a couple of the books, and studied really hard, got on those, like, YouTube group, boards, message boards or whatever, refreshing the, like, learning theory that I didn't need to know in college. Um, and then, like, just kinda stumbled along for quite some time until I earned that certification in 2008, and then I felt like, "Okay, I feel validated." Like, that was, I think, I wasn't doing this for my boss. I wasn't doing this for a partner. This was, I think, the first thing I actually did for me, and like, at the time, that was, like, the biggest, validation, was
Yeah.
like, I actually know this stuff, and
Yeah.
I shouldn't be second guessing myself anymore in this way. I'll find whole new ways to second guess
Whole
myself.
new, because you're creative. You can come
'Cause
up with new things.
yeah.
So during this time, were you working for yourself? Like you were already doing dog walking. So were you just doing training as like part of your own business or,
I was
um,
still working for this individual in Boston, who's still around. This person's still training, and they do mostly good work. That I think in a lot of training, when we get into, like, these conversations about, like, camps of training,
yeah.
um, we can focus so much on, like, a thing that they're doing that's maybe not the way that you would wanna do it, but 98% of what they're doing is solid and really good, and they've helped a lot of people, and I do still believe that is the case with this person. Um, but the place where they weren't lining up with my values was big enough that I was like, "Okay, I'm going to go now." And then I ended up hooking up with, another dog training outfit in the area that had, it was all women at this place, which was great. Um, and they all had brought something really cool to the program. So I was watching agility training for the first time, like legitimate agility training, or scent work for the first time, and real behavior work. There was a real, like, this person ended up becoming like the executive director for International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants for a time. She was my boss, and I'm like, this is actually lining up a little bit better with
Mhm.
my value, and I felt valued and validated there. And I was still making a lot of mistakes, but I felt like I knew I was making mistakes and I could learn from them and get good feedback back in a way that was not really happening in the same way at that other place.
Yeah.
And then from there, I got roped into New England Dog Training Club, which is the oldest obedience club in the country. Um, we've changed it to a positive reinforcement training facility, which is great. It's a club, so they only meet once a week. We have a college professor who does, like, I think she's a chemist, biochemist, and she's our president. And then we have this woman who ran a shelter in Weymouth, Massachusetts, and she's our training director. And then we've got, like, just dog walkers who come in who are also accredited trainers, but most of their business is walking. So then they come and they help train people. Like, it's a really cool environment to learn. It's chaotic. It's absolute mayhem because you have 3 classes going on in a gym and you've got 14 trainers running around, but, like, it feels like controlled chaos. And
Controlled.
it's a really cool training environment where it might feel like trial by fire, but, like, when you really just look at each piece individually, they're really well run. Like, we have 2 assistants in each ring with a trainer. So, like, every 4 to 10 people in one ring, they have 3 people in there helping them. And then the next ring over have a different 3. And it's just a beautiful way to, like, train trainers who wanna learn how to do this and train the people who have these dogs in urban environments who need support and help. These dogs
Mhm.
are in busy environments, and they're learning in a really busy environment. And to have these resources like, hey, I need to find a good dog walker. Do you know one? Yeah. Yana, come on over. Like this person. I need a vet. Oh, here's a vet tech for an animal hospital like 3 blocks away from here who's also training a class. So it was just a really cool environment to train and be a part of.
It sounds amazing. It sounds
Yeah.
amazing. And so then you grew up in Maine, and then you were in Boston, and now you're back in Maine. What drew you back to Maine?
Well, COVID was a time to be alive. Nobody wants to hear the 3 words, aspiring EDM DJ in the same sentence, and that was our upstairs neighbor who really liked to practice his craft at 2 in the morning
Hmm.
during COVID. And we had a 2nd grader, who was living and working and, quote, "going to school" in our kitchen. I had my husband who was living and working in an office in our apartment, our tiny apartment, and I was living and working in my apartment as well. But my classes I was teaching, like, apartment bedrooms are smaller than house bedrooms, turns out. And so we had this bed that kinda came out to about here, and the wall was, like, 2 feet away, so you had, like, this, like, little, like, path to walk. That's where I was teaching my classes. I would put my computer on the floor, and you could see down this, like, tunnel between my bed and the wall, and that's where I was teaching all my dog training classes for, like, 2 years, and I'm like, "This is not sustainable." Like, that and, like, cost of living was going up so high that we were like, "We gotta go." And so my husband's like, "Most of my work is done online anyway. Let's go to Maine." And I'd always wanted to come back. And I'm really glad that we were able to do it. It took a while. It took us quite some time to find a place up here, but once we did, we were like my husband and I are like, "We're gonna die in this house, and that's okay. We are never leaving."
Awesome. It's so wonderful
Yeah.
that you found a place that just really suits you.
Yeah, and now we've got bougie chickens. They're ridiculous. They're so funny, and, like and our dog is happier because 'cause he's got some space. Our kid is so much happier. Like, we didn't realize, like, all the behavior work that I do with animals, you can equally apply it to
Yeah.
humans. You have to be a lot more careful when attributing characteristics to humans, but my daughter was having panic attacks, and being in a busier environment really wasn't suiting her, and we weren't I don't know why I do know why I wasn't thinking of it quite like this because, like, that was the environment we were in, and I
Mhm.
wasn't really thinking of her in terms of a learner. I was thinking of her in terms of my daughter,
Mhm.
and which felt different. And so when we moved to Maine and those panic attacks arose in a very different way, where she was struggling getting into middle school. She had, like, 7 months where she missed middle school because she couldn't get in the door due to panic attacks that were so severe. That I was like, "Wait, she's a learner. I know what to do here because, like, my job isn't behavior." And then going into these meetings to try to help her with staff, and there's like, "Well, you're just a dog trainer." And I'm like, "I'm not, though." Like, it felt so flippant and hurtful.
Yeah.
But being able to say, "No, this is actually what I do," and being able to articulate how to work very challenging behavior cases, and then using that same language for my kid. So when we were able to get her some medicinal support, like in the same way that we would in a big
Mhm.
behavior case, if your body doesn't make enough serotonin, store-bought is fine. Um, and luckily her pediatrician felt the same way. And her pediatrician has since become the chief medical officer at Boston Children's. So for her to look at me and say, "You're right,"
Yeah.
again, going back to this theme of validation, it's like,
Mhm.
I do know my stuff. I do know how this works. Even if, like, people who don't understand my job or my work will just say, "You're just a dog trainer." It's
It's
not
amazing how
just.
the just gets added in. And it
Yeah.
goes with so many of so many pet professional careers, like, my pet sitting clients and my dog walking clients hear that all the time. "Oh, it's just the dog walker," when they walk through the room when someone's having a conversation, and they're like, "Yes, I am the dog walker, but am I just the dog walker?" Like, wow, what's in that little word that's so dismissive? Like,
Right?
of the humanity and the intelligence and the experience of the person who's there. Not
Yeah.
not even counting the education, because maybe we do or do not have an education in a particular field, but the just piece.
It feels very flippant. It feels like kind of like a backhand.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's
Um,
so hierarchical. Like,
yeah, and then to try to like defend against it's a hard
mhm,
thing to defend against.
mhm,
It really is. And it's yeah, that was that one didn't feel very good, but being able to eventually like I ended up creating a behavior plan in the same way that I would with dogs. It had a flow chart and everything, and they've put that into what they call a 504, which is a supportive plan to
mhm.
help kids who are in mainstream classes that just need a little support. So, like, if
Yeah,
a kid has ADHD, they might be able to get fidget toys, or if a kid has, anxiety, like, that they can just get up and walk out of the room without getting permission. Like, that these are things supportive things written into a 504 to kinda help these kids, have their needs met in a mainstream classroom. And one of her things was this flow chart. Like, can she communicate to you? Yes or no? Like, at this point, like, can we give her medication at this point? Yes or no? Can she walk? Yes or no? And so, like, I had the flow chart and I was waiting for them to say, oh, well, this isn't going to work. And then they were looking over at it and then they put it past their psychologist and their psychiatrist at school. And they're like, actually, this is brilliant. I'm like, uh huh.
yeah, and now they're
I
like,
know.
"Let's create one of these for these other 8 children." Like,
Yeah.
let's tailor this idea."
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was like, "This is what I do, guys." Like,
yeah,
like
I know. The belief that we have a belief as humans that we're like these intelligent, rational creatures. We are not. We are emotion-based creatures who live in our environments and respond to our environments.
we are
Um,
reactive.
and yeah, we're very, very reactive.
Mhm.
And there's so much we can do to support ourselves. And the science of supporting animals is really very applicable to supporting humans because first we're animals, and then we also have this part that can envision and craft and create other kinds of thinking that we don't have access of knowing whether other animals can do yet.
Yes.
We'd like
Yes.
to believe we're unique in that, but as the evidence is coming, we're finding out that almost all the things that we think we were so special about are shared by many of our animal friends. Um,
The
so,
things that like, kinda going back to, like, how how, like, when people are listening that they might think that they're alone or that they're this, like, even just on that level, like, you're talking about how, like, we humans think we're the only ones, and now the evidence is showing that we're not. Like, whenever somebody thinks, "I'm alone in this,"
mhm,
you're not.
right.
There are more people like that, and it's important to articulate that because it can be so lonely.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you find this with your reactive dog clients, but, like, they just feel so alone, and I'm
Mhm.
like, "You're not alone." It's just that you can't, like, have, "Oh, let's have a reactive dog party, and we all bring our reactive dogs together, we socialize and we talk," because that's not what that dog needs. But, like, they aren't alone, they are lonely,
Yeah.
but they're not alone. And I think just knowing if that you're not the only one or that you're not alone, that is, again, validating and that it's supportive just in that knowledge. And then you can once you know that you're not alone, then maybe somebody else wrote about it, or maybe somebody
Mhm.
else talked about it, or maybe somebody and then you can start to seek out that information. But if you don't have that information or even know that anybody else is going through it, you don't know where to look or how to look.
Yeah. And we tend to then believe that the flaw is in ourselves, you know?
Yes. And it's
So,
not. Yeah.
yeah, and it's not. It's so
Yeah.
not. Yeah, you're so much of this is in your book. Many of these ideas and these things are in your book. I have not completed her book. I've read half of her book. Very, very interesting. But that's as far as I got before recording time hit. So people might enjoy reading some of this because these ideas are important about, learning and reaching out for community and support and that it is available,
Mhm.
but it requires us to reach and sometimes reach a few times because not every reach is the right one. Not every connection is the right one.
Yeah.
This has been such a fun conversation with you. I'm looking at the clock and wanting to be respectful of your time, and I'm like, "No, we could go a lot longer." So, um, if you had a magic wand and you could grant a wish for pet professionals, what would you give us? What blessing or wish would you give for us?
Actually, this is something I wrote about and is something that I think is worth saying here as well, and that is forgive yourself. Um, I I have a lot of favorite F words. Many of them I can't say on podcasts, but forgive yourself is, I think, something that we forget to do.
Mhm.
Something that, like, if it were I find a lot of trainers, behaviorists, veterinarians, vet techs, even pet sitters when something goes a little south. Like, if we were talking to somebody else, a friend, in the exact same situation, we'd be like, "It worked
Yeah.
out. It's okay. Like,
Mhm.
let it go. You're good, whatever." But when it's ourselves, we just like, "Oh, no, those rules don't apply to me. Why would I be like why would I be nice to myself?" Forgiving yourself, is super important. I will actually tell a very funny story about forgiving myself because it kinda goes to language and just like, doing the best you can with the information you have can backfire. I was working with a very sweet family, husband, wife, and they had 2 older daughters. One had gone to college to do veterinary stuff, like, I didn't do vet stuff, so I don't know what it is, but, like, went to go get her
That
degree
stuff.
in that stuff, DVM. Like, um, so she was in her first year of college, and the other daughter was a high school, like, junior or senior, upper level, and, it was a weekend, and they had said that the daughter, that was, upper level high school played sports. So I took that to mean she's gone playing sports. And I knew that their other daughter was home, and they were very excited to have her back. Both daughters were not on the premise or not in the room when I started the meeting,
Mhm.
and I'm working with them, and I'm working with them with this, like, Great Dane, I think. And the dog, we got on a conversation of medical issues with Great Danes, and I'm like, "Well, I'm not a vet, I can't speak to it." But I saw one of the daughters was in the refrigerator, like, getting some breakfast, and I'm like, "Oh, but she can tell you all about bloat." 1, this was the wrong daughter, was not in vet school, and 2, she has a grown woman who she doesn't know telling a high school 16-year-old, "Oh, yeah, just look at her. She can tell you all about bloat," without realizing that this is a medical condition in Great Danes. I thought I was talking shop and being cool, like, and once I realized, like, the look of horror on that poor girl's face, I'm like, "Oh my god. Oh my god. You're the high schooler, aren't you?" Like, "Let me get out of this." Like, and, like, the information I had was that they had a vet student, and I
Mhm.
was so excited to support this vet student and give her the floor.
Yeah.
The information that came immediately after was that was not the case.
Yeah.
So, I would tell people to forgive yourself, um, and also maybe wait a beat before saying something. Make sure you have the right daughter.
Make sure you have the right daughter. It's good to make sure you have the right daughter. That's awesome. Yes. And honestly, the ripple effects, if people could just forgive themselves for these moments of like, we're human and we will make mistakes and things will happen. And it's not the end of the world. It's okay.
Right.
We're all
I'm still
okay.
here. She graduated.
Hmm.
I'm sure she's never bloated a day in her life, and she looks fantastic. And her and her sister, I'm sure, is a brilliant veterinarian right now
Yes.
who laughs every time she sees a Great Dane about the time that the dog trainer came, basically called her younger sister fat. Like,
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So if people wanted to learn more about you and your work, Melissa, how could they do that? And I'll link everything up in the show notes so you don't have to spell all things out. But
Great.
how can they do this?
Well, let's start with my name because that's a doozy. Melissa McCue-McGrath.com. And there I have where I'm working. I have some stuff on there about an invasive species detection project that I did, training pet dogs to find invasive species here in Maine. And this book that I have is also there as well. So I think that just might be the easiest.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yay.
I will link up to all of that. And it's been so fun talking with you today. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. It was so much fun. And I'm so glad that we got to connect.
That's our conversation for today. If something we talked about resonated, I invite you to sit with it. Notice what feels true and what you want to explore further. You don't have to have it all figured out to start moving toward what matters. Whatever showed up for you today, clarity, questions, even resistance, trust that it's pointing you towards something important. For more support, join my weekly notes at ColleenPilar.com. And until next time, remember, you are enough. Always, just as you are.